Hello and welcome back to the Spiritual Shitshow podcast. My name is Julie Wynn, and if you haven't listened to part 1 of the Penthouse Life series, I would encourage you to go back and start there because this episode really builds on that practice. Over the last week, I've been personally working with this Penthouse Life exercise, and I have to tell you, it has revealed so much to me. I strongly encourage you to really sit down to do this work because it's transformative. And it's one thing to journal about your dream life, but it's another thing entirely to notice where you're actually holding yourself back from allowing yourself to experience it. Being able to call yourself out on your own bullshit and being like, damn, I do that is called doing the work. The Penthouse Life exercise has really helped me to recognize all the places where I unconsciously believe that this incredible, expansive life is available for everybody else, but somehow not for me. And this has been a really profound realization because one of the questions that I've been sitting with is, who would I be if I were a multimillionaire? And it's not what I would buy or not what kind of house or penthouse lifestyle I would have, but who would I become? And if I'm being really honest here, the question of who would I be if I were a multimillionaire scares me. And this is why it's more comfortable for me to stop at the 9th floor and allow everybody else to be in their penthouse life than for me to actually pull myself up into penthouse living. Why? Because somewhere inside of me, there's a version of being wealthy that I'm scared of. I don't want to ever feel like I am better than anyone else. I never want money to disconnect me from people. I never want abundance to make me feel ungrounded or too bougie or unrelatable. So there was this realization that maybe there's a part of me that's actually afraid of going all the way to the penthouse because of that. Because if I have an unconscious story about who I become with abundance, then of course it's going to feel safer to stop on the 9th floor. The 9th floor is comfortable. The 9th floor, I know who I am. The 9th floor is not bad, but it's not the penthouse. And that's been a huge piece of my own abundance work. And then, again, this is what the work is about. Another layer came in. And as I was reflecting on this, I realized that there is also a childhood programming component that has been living inside of me for as long as I can remember. Many of you know that my mom passed away when I was very little, and my dad suddenly became a widower, raising 3 very, 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 very young children. And he truly did the best that he could. But thinking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, my dad became a widow in his late 30s. At the time of their lives where they were building a life, they had 3 young children. They just bought a house. My dad was going to start his business. And then my dad experienced losing the love of his life with 3 young children. And as a little girl, I remember looking at other families and I would notice their homes. Oh, I had a mom and a dad and they were happy and they had, dinners together, and the dad would volunteer for the soccer game and they would bring snacks and the house would be clean and the mother would be doing the kids' laundry. That was never my experience. And somewhere inside of me, even without me realizing it, I created a program. I created a belief that said, that kind of life is something everyone else gets to have, but I will never get to experience it. And that belief carried into my life, not only about family, but it actually became a template. It became that life is for everyone else, that abundance is for everyone else, that happiness and connection and family and community, that is something for everyone else, not something that I will ever get to experience. Ease is for everyone else. I will never have that. As children, we don't realize we're creating beliefs, and these beliefs become programs that our physical body continues to run off of. And we have to know how to cancel those programs in our own mind so our body can become attuned to the frequency of abundance that is available to us now. The beautiful thing is that as adults, we get to revisit those beliefs and we get to ask, is that really true? Is that really true for me now? Because I don't believe that's true anymore for myself. I believe that little girl created a story that helped her survive. And maybe at one point in time that was her reality, but that isn't my reality now. I don't have to keep living from that story or that program or that belief. And this Penthouse Life exercise has been helping me to see exactly where those old beliefs are still quietly running the show. And that's me figuring out the gap between the 9th floor and the penthouse. The invitation isn't simply to imagine your dream life. It's to ask yourself, what is keeping me from pressing the elevator button all the way to the penthouse? What's the belief? What's the fear? What's the story? Because that's where the real work begins. One of the things the guides are constantly reminding us inside of Energy Club is that manifestation is really about attuning to your own frequency. It's becoming the energetic match for what you desire. One of the most powerful opportunities we have every single day happens before we open our eyes. In one of the Energy Club sessions, they were teaching about the power of having a morning ritual. It's that space between sleeping and being fully awake. It's that moment before your mind starts running, before you reach for your phone, before you get onto Instagram or TikTok or open emails, before you start thinking. This space between when you're beginning to realize when you're waking up and you're coming conscious. There's something really sacred there in that space. And so the guides have offered this practice that I've been practicing every morning, which I want to share with you. And it's before I even open my eyes, I visualize myself stepping into the elevator. I press the penthouse button. I watch myself rise. And before I even get out of the elevator, I intentionally remind myself, today I choose to live my penthouse life. Today it's penthouse energy all day. Not tomorrow, not when I make more money, not when everything falls into place, today. If I've already spent time, which I encourage you to do too, defining what my penthouse life feels like, I don't have to wonder how to show up. I simply step into the frequency of it. I allow myself to experience it. And for me, this practice has become an act of reminding myself that this life is available to me too. That this penthouse life isn't something that everybody else gets to experience, but not me. I actually have to give myself permission to live it. I get to receive it. I get to allow it. And then there's another layer here that I want to share. The guides expanded on this morning ritual, of getting into the penthouse, going all the way up before you even open your eyes. And this part 2 of the penthouse meditation was a little bit deeper. What the guides reminded me is everything outside of us begins inside of us, and we can't create from without. We create from within. So they invited me to imagine the elevator wasn't simply taking me to the penthouse of a building. It was actually moving me through my own energetic body. And as I step into the elevator, I begin at my root chakra, and I feel myself grounded, safe, supported. And then I allow myself to rise through the sacral chakra, my solar plex, my heart, my throat, my third eye, my crown. But instead of stopping there, I've been encouraged to keep going. I continue to rise into the 8th energetic center, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, until I allow my energy to land in the 12th chakra. And I stay there for a minute and I feel what it feels like to allow all 12 energetic centers to come online, to expand, to lift, to remember. Then I embody that feeling. And then when the elevator doors open, I'm stepping out from my highest available frequency. And that is my penthouse. I love this visualization because it reminds me that abundance isn't just external. It's internal. It's energetic. It's a remembering. It's allowing yourself to access more of who you've always been. And in our next episode, we're going to spend more time talking about those higher energetic centers, the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. But for now, this feels like a big practice. And I'm adding components to the practice. So to keep it simple, I want to invite us back into the practice. Journal about your penthouse life. Ask yourself where you're still getting off the elevator too early. Notice and pay attention to the stories that come up. Notice the fears. And every morning, before your feet touch the floor, step into the elevator, ride all the way to the top. Whether you imagine that as your penthouse life or as your 12th chakra, allow yourself to experience what it feels like to live from your highest frequency, because that frequency is already within you. You're simply remembering how to access it. Thank you for being here. Thanks for joining me in this practice. And keep in mind, starting in August 2026, we are returning to Energy Club. It's kind of where life coaching and intuitive channeling meet, and we dance in our abundance in this space, in community, growing together. Again, thank you for being here. Till next time.